We've been speaking about quite a lot this morning, which is the constant change era and the impact that that's having on our organizations. So I was really keen to spotlight this particular brand because I think they've done some really cool work on adapting themselves as communicators to deliver for the constant change era. Please welcome to the stage from Truist, Brad and Lisa. Hey, welcome. Hello. Welcome. So, this is a particularly interesting session because Truist as an organization is kind of built from change. It was built from two mergers. Brad, just tell me a little bit about Truist as an organization. So if I'm in the audience, I can understand, what does Truist do? What are our goals?
Sure. I would love to answer that question, but first, let's start with maybe some introduction.
Yes, let's do it.
That's good for you.
Of course. Yeah.
So even before introducing myself, I want to give a shout out to Stacy Griffin, our customer success manager, who is wonderful at Unily. Jane Golding, I don't know if you're out there anywhere. Fran Slattery. They're all very helpful in helping us be successful, and I wanted to give a shout out to them, so thank you.
Woo.
We also have Demi Miller, who could very much be on the stage with us right now. She's our our wizard behind Oz, and Daniel Pierce, who hopefully is streaming this live right now as our technologist. So that's the team that helps us be successful.
Nice. A bit about yourself.
Yeah, and a little bit about myself. So my name is Brad Kozak. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, any Atlanta people out there? That's right.
Go Braves.
I'm originally from Chicago. I was born in Evanston. Yeah, some Chicago people. I like it. That's right. I've been with Truist for about 2 years, which was about 2 years after we implemented Unily. So I came in post-implementation. Prior to that, I've worked at a number of financial services companies, including Discover Card and Fiserv and ABN AMRO. Spent 10 years in the Netherlands working at technology companies like Booking.com and Cisco Systems. And the title of our presentation is around change. And John Chambers, our CEO at the time at Cisco, said the only thing that's constant is change. And I think he was ahead of his time. So it is never more true than it is right now.
We've seen that come true. Yes, and Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, Lisa Habib. I've been with Truist for 7 years. Right after I started, and I started at one of the previous companies, they were like, oh, we're merging. Oh, OK. Started with change right away, and was on a communications work stream during our merger of our two companies. And so I am on Brad's team, and I am our digital strategist, content strategist, and I mostly support HR, but also the enterprise as well.
Okay, excellent. So
hold on. This question goes to you too, Kaz, because the number one question I get is, what does that Kaz guy do, aside from being fabulous on stage?
The tables have turned. Sorry, repeat the question.
Yeah, what do you...
what is your role at Unily besides being...
I was not ready for that, clearly. I'm usually good on my feet. But so my role at Unily is I look after our community and industry insights. So I actually used to work in product, which is a little-known fact about me. But I work quite closely with our community, including people like Truist, to try and understand where the really cool stories are. And so you see this come throughout Unite. I try to find out where are the cool stories and can I get them on stage to platform them? And also we do some research and stuff like that as well. So head to unily.com for the latest research that we've worked on.
Wonderful.
So let's dive into Truist.
Yeah, let's dive in. Although one more thing I want to point out, this is the first fully stockless panel.
Yeah.
So I've been keeping track. I don't know if anyone else out there has. Yeah. The first one, we're not a
I think that might be a Unite first as well. It's usually just me repping up here, so I appreciate you coming up here to fight the good fight.
Yes. And then I guess I failed to say during my introduction that the team that we're on, to give a little bit of context because every company is different. I heard that all the time. It's like, well, we're different. We do things different. We're not the same. So just a little bit of context is that Lisa and I sit in corporate communications. Corporate communications within Truist is about 65 people for 40,000 teammates. Within that, we are mostly based in Charlotte. Truist is headquartered in Charlotte. And within this team, we have responsibilities for our internal channels, which include the intranet, as well as like email newsletters, things like that. We use Axios for that. And then we also do all of our human resources communications, all of our risk management communications, all of our audit, and then all of our business administration communications as well. So partnering with the senior-most people in the company as C-suite advisors and putting out all that information using the different channels that we have. So just thought that type of context might be helpful out there. We're domestic bank, but we do have some employees in India and in the Philippines as well. Okay, so we heard a lot from May about purpose. We are a purpose-driven company. Our purpose is to inspire and build better lives and communities. I'm not going to read everything on this slide, but you can see the values down at the bottom. I heard some other people say that they have programs in place around giving recognition. We have the same thing. Any recognition that you give needs to tie to one of these values. And so also as something that we do within Truist to help, I think, bring that purpose to life is we all have a personal purpose as well, which we will share. And any large meeting opens with your personal purpose. And for me, my personal purpose is just to get a little bit better every day and try to help the people around me do the same.
And I had to write mine down because I haven't memorized it in a while. All right, so my personal purpose is to enlighten, engage with, or care for others with clarity, intent, and heart. And I think that's probably applies to most of us communicators. This is what we're trying to do every day.
Great. So the next slide, this is our Truist strategy placemat. This tells us what is our North Star. We're trying to build the top super regional bank that grows with our clients with care. And the objectives are to develop, attract, and retain purposeful and talented leaders and teammates, deepen valued client relationships, achieve maximum impact through operational excellence, leverage modern scalable technology, and drive focused growth. So within corporate communications, everything that we write internally, before it gets submitted, it needs to, literally there's a checkbox that it needs to relate to at least one of these objectives. And then that actually shows up often within the article itself as to how whatever this piece of written content is ties back to our objectives.
So these are your corporate comms objectives.
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to be engaging. That's important, right? Or as my kids say, don't be boring, Dad. We're trying to instill confidence, whether that's helping leaders, whether that is promoting and sharing business wins. We're trying to accelerate performance. And I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to that. You're in businesses that are trying to do more, maybe with less. Maybe you're in a challenging environment. So what can we do to accelerate things in this constant change era?
Yeah, and I think what's quite interesting about this as well, that's a theme that came up yesterday was around sometimes communicators getting lost in the hustle of the day-to-day and actually being very clear on your objectives, I think is super important. So how do you go about doing it?
Wow, we got some focus areas, and it's interesting, we've hit on some of these, I think throughout the last day and a half already. But I think one of the ones I'm going to talk about, because we're going to talk a bit about storytelling and give hopefully some practical examples of some things that have worked well for us, is we're looking a lot more and more about running integrated campaigns. So what are these campaigns that we can do where we bring people together from the different parts of corporate communications around a topic or theme, and then try to approach it from different angles. And I'll get into more details in a little bit on that. Oh, OK. Well, then that's good.
Nope.
Lisa.
Sorry, that's my bad.
OK. Driving consistent messaging. I mean, a lot of this stuff, you can take a picture of the slide, but it's hopefully things that you're probably seeing in your own organization. So I'm trying to think if there's anything. I think the last thing is we are trying to integrate smart brevity. So that was part of our decision to bring on Axios HQ to help with our newsletters. And also in general, just one of the themes that we're talking about is champions mindset. So like, what do champions do to be successful? We've talked to a lot of athletes recently, a lot of people who just bring sort of that A-game performance. And it's a lot about, and I feel like it ties into my personal purpose very well as well, which is to get a little bit every day, a little bit better every day. And in order to do that, you have to really think about like, what are those things? Like if you're a hitter in a baseball game, it's like making sure that your feet are in the right position, that your hands are in the right position, because every swing is, a new chance to do something great. But if you're not kind of getting yourself in the right position to be successful, then you're not going to be. So, that's what we're talking a lot about internally.
And you mentioned the word storytelling there, and actually we've spoken about this kind of the skill set of communicators having to really leverage storytelling in order to meet the needs of the organization. Can you talk to me a little bit about like what you do in terms of storytelling? Because storytelling, I think we can all as communicators invest in, but how are you building on that in Truist?
Yeah, we've recently sort of honed our focus on storytelling and to be really purposeful and intentional about what kinds of stories we're telling and how we're telling them. And so it's just reinforcing the strategy we have to engage with our teammates on a daily basis, really. And as Brad mentioned before, we have these 7 objectives that all our stories really need to align with. And even the most need-to-know story, it aligns with one of these tenets. So all the story, we have actually a whole separate storytelling team. And so we bring, anybody in Corp Comm or anybody really can bring stories to this team. They will develop the stories, written, video, otherwise, and help hone it into a product that really gets engagement. And we've seen, if we're focusing on this, we've seen that the analytics and the engagement of these stories has improved over the last year.
Let's have a look at some of the, so you mentioned the champion's mindset. I brought my Braves shirt from Truist Park. And one thing is being able to act, one thing is like knowing the brand is around really cool activities and cool campaigns. Another thing is being able to translate that to something that matters to the employees and inspires action. So how do you go about doing that?
Sure. Well, are we gonna, oh, interesting, okay. This is not the slide I was expecting, but I like this slide. I can tell you this much: people love Buc-ee's. Any show of hands? Anyone like Buc-ee's? Like we ran that story about a business win, and it got I think over 6,000 views and like a 15% engagement score. And like that's where like when you tie things together, where you bring together something that people love, like the brand Buc-ee's, which I still need to go to there, and create great content. Yeah, so now, okay, we're moving through this, but so I want to talk about a couple of stories maybe. So one story I want to share, I guess we'll go through these, but is that, we had this business issue. So I've heard this a lot over the last couple of days as well, that things are tight, maybe engagement scores aren't very strong. Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Should I compete with the slides here, or should I let them run through?
Up to so they're on the rotation.
Yeah, they're on the rotation, okay. So, employee sentiment's not strong. And so I had our CHRO, Kim, come to me, and I was thinking about her. So Kim is sort of like a combination of Oprah's EQ and Serena's like champion, like bring it like thing. And so in the context of Vanessa's talk this morning, like she is like off the charts in terms of like charisma. She said, Brad, like we need to remind people that Truist is a great place to work. Like we need to bring the benefits to people and remind them, because like some things are going away. Like we had our employee stock purchase plan reduced in terms of like the percentage that was given. We had our 401k reduced as well, the match. And so like things weren't going well. Like people were not terribly happy. And she's like, we got to remind people we still have a lot of like really, really good benefits to remind people about. And so I think part of like what works well on our team is that we get together, we know what our North Star is, we know what we need to do, and we started brainstorming. And so we have someone on the team, Jamie Dexter, who's out there. She's from North Carolina, tall, blonde-haired, sweet woman. She's always like, I think I might have have an idea. What about the pension? And we're like, interesting. Like we haven't written about pension. It's not a story that we really talk about. It's just something that's sort of like there in the background. But it is unique. Like not a lot of companies in the United States offer a pension plan. And I said, let's go for it. You know what I mean? Let's write it up, see what it looks like. And it performed extremely well. Like there was a ton of engagement. People were very excited to learn more. Like we were worried, like, well, what if they have all these questions that we can't answer? And like, what if they're unhappy about something? They were not unhappy. They were very, very happy. Another one, same thing, was like, let's write a story about the 401k. And when it comes to sexy topics, 401k is probably not up near the top of them. And I think it was the year before, we had reduced the 401k by about 2 points, 2%. And so we had a bit of good news in that like we left part of it variable and that we were going to add 1%. And so we wrote up a story about it. It was called 401k Revved Up. I think it might have been in one of the
It was, yeah.
one of the ones that's
Do you
through
want
there.
to show one more time? Just, yeah, let's do another spin of it.
And so, with that, it's like trying to be creative. We could have just been like 401k, 1% higher, like congratulations. But we did something, that was more fun, and really using like the tools and technology to make sure that like we came up with a good image, that we came up with a fun headline that was around it. And so that story had over 10,000 views, which was actually one of the highest viewed stories of the entire year. And it's interesting because like when we talked about it, we have focus groups where we come together within corp comms and talk about like what's working and what's not working. People are like, well, it's 401k, like it's just going to perform well. And I gently pushed back on that and said, that's not true. Like it took a lot of thinking about like what is the right angle, what is the right headline, what is the right image, because these things don't just happen. Like you're not just going to be like, okay, like anytime you put 401k in a story, it's going to like all of a sudden perform amazingly well. Because if it did, we would have been doing that all the time, like a long time ago, which we had never done.
What I really admire about this kind of storytelling mindset is how you've connected that to the data. And so in all of these stories, we've kind of highlighted some of the cool ones here. You've really looked at the data to try and understand what makes the difference. And so what are some of the big trends you've seen that's driving engagement with your content?
Yeah. Well, I would say that like we're really looking at a couple things, like clicks, engagement, and impact, which is probably what most of you guys are looking at. But it is important to know, what are people clicking on? Excuse me. It's also important to understand, like, are they engaging with it? And by that we mean like likes and comments. And from there, we present an engagement score. So basically, it's just likes plus comments divided by total number of clicks. And for us, like anything above 5% means that it is being engaged with highly. And then lastly, we're looking at the impact. And Lisa's going to actually talk about that a little bit later. But yeah.
Let's go to that then. So.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off. Let's go for it.
No, I was just going to share like just one more story, but I don't know how we're doing on time. Should we go?
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about some of the change stuff then. So you spoke about impact. Specifically, I think what you've done to try and connect your communications to action and impact and outcomes has been really good. Lisa, can you share some of the areas that you've supported the rest of the business with?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 2 examples about how, beyond storytelling, our content has helped with change management. And this is an ongoing process, but this has been a year-long effort as my partner. I partner with the team in HR that supports, it's HR support, basically.
Yeah.
We're called teammates. They're the teammate care team. So we develop content the goal is to stop calling. Y'all stop calling HR. You can get the information you need online, self-serve your information you need. But we have, like many of you, an audience, half of our teammates are frontline workers. So it's really there, and we know from the data, we know who's calling and what they're calling about. Most of our calls are from that population. So we have a knowledge base, right? We have a HR knowledge base that started as a SharePoint wiki years ago, and then luckily Unily came along and we had a good place to put it. So we started with that, and then based on the call topics, what are people calling about? Let's give them the answers they already we know they want consistently. The same questions asked all the time. So we have a good 265 articles, I think. in our knowledge base, and 14 knowledge bases in the knowledge portal. So that was our baseline. And then over the past year, we've done a concerted effort to get the word out and change some content and behavior, hopefully. So we created a new contact HR page, which we're calling Human Resources Help. And it's really, it's kind of, if you try to go to the Amazon help page, the phone number, I don't even know if it's on there, but it's on the very bottom. So this page has the phone number on there. You're still allowed to call, but it's at the very bottom. We want you to self-serve. First, search this wonderful knowledge base. It works really well. The search really does work really well. We've written the topics that you need your answers for. Search them there. If not, I've got a whole list of things you can actually do yourself. So a lot of people are calling to say, hey, I need this done, I need this done. Well, you can actually do those things yourself. They're pointing to Workday, they're pointing to ServiceNow, they're pointing to the things that get the thing done that you need done. Then there are some, on that page, also some more transactions you can fill out forms for. Then there's the phone number, just in case. So we've had some good results with that. We have a whole campaign, a bunch of tactics, including pop-ups. We're in our email newsletters that we send to teammates once a month and to managers twice a month, really just sort of restating, hey, click, don't call. You can get the answers to these yourself. So we need to continue to improve on that, and the challenge is, of course, targeting those audiences that are not getting the word and are still calling. But it's an ongoing. It's the philosophy of knowledge service is continuous improvement, constantly updating the articles. I'm working with that team every week. They're pinging me, hey, can you update this article with this information? Yeah, absolutely. It only makes it better and hopefully driving more self-serve rather than call.
You got the results as well. I think calls down 34%, right?
Yes. Oh, let's look at that. That's exciting. So yes, our goals were to decrease the calls, right? Self-serve. Our strategy walked through. The results this year have been really beyond what we hoped, really. The calls have been down 34% to the teammate care team. Knowledge content views are up 122%. This is year to date, year over year. And our online forms usage is up 56%. So it's still a small percentage of the total contacts to the teammate care team, but growing, and it's a huge win for us.
And so you mentioned there are 2 projects.
Yes.
Let's discuss one of the gnarly ones.
Yes, this is one also many of you probably have faced in the last few years, is going back into the office, foregoing your remote lifestyle. So this was announced, I guess it's a year old now. It was announced last October. You're back in the office. Well, there's 4 different work styles, but one of them is the 4-day-a-week group, and that includes us. So, of course, the messaging was hugely important. How do you get this message across? Everyone's pissed off about it. We still have to tell you why you need to get in the office. So a lot of it was some in-person collaboration, like really getting our leaders in front of their teams and enforcing the messages of why we want you back. We're better together. We collaborate. It's all about performance, and being in person is hopefully leading to better performance. And they also the messaging at the same time trying to stress workplace engagement. What are we going to do? What is this company doing to make you want to be in the office? So that was key to the messaging. And the comm strategy was definitely wide-ranging, right? So it excluded the enterprise-wide, excluded frontline, because they're already in the office 5 days a week. So we didn't target messaging to them, because they're all like, yeah, I wish I could be remote, right? So we excluded them in our targeted messaging. And it was integrated, right? The business unit leaders themselves were the ones delivering most of the messages with our templated communications and a consistent message, but from their voice. And then we obviously have a lot of channels by which to deliver these messages, all through Unily, newsletters, storytelling, pop-ups, all the things. And we used them all and are continuing to use them all. It's an ongoing campaign as well. So what are the results? Yes, the engagement, the content, it was definitely engaged with. People really, really interested in, you're telling me I really need to get back to work or back to the office. So obviously those were very highly viewed pieces of content. But the mandate was kind of successful. Successful. I can't even get the word out because I'm.
And you supported your managers kind of through that as well, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a whole site that's targeted just to managers. So only managers can see this site, and it's basically how do you get your teammates back in the office? How are you getting them to comply? What do you do if there's non-compliance? Here's how to talk to people. Here are some scenarios. So really holding managers' hands. We ask managers to do a lot all the time, and so this is just another some guidance to get them through this sticky situation.
Excellent. So let's switch to the audience Q&A. I've seen a few coming in, including one that I wanted to ask as well. So thanks to who did that. So the first one is from Mary at CNA. What are the differences in responsibility between the storytelling team and the rest of internal communications?
Well, storytelling is, like I said, there's a separate team that helps develop the stories. But if we had a story, well, as Brad mentioned, Jamie is on our internal communications team. She brought the story to about the pension to life. So on Brad's team, for example, the other teams have different sort of makeups, but our team, 3 of us support HR. Demi supports the whole enterprise with her newsletter production. Daniel is our product manager for Unily and multiple other products that are communications based. So we have a very varied team. Some of the other teams, I mean, you can speak to a little bit what the other teams do.
I mean, I would just say like we're all storytellers within corporate communications, and the stories team has like one specific sort of very visible product. We do a weekly broadcast called Truist Today that is sort of a summary of the top news stories that are going on, like a local news kind of show, and that is very easy for our frontline employees to watch as a group, for example, at the branches. So that is sort of like their main deliverable, and they also are more involved in social than some of the other teams, but everyone in CorpCom is a storyteller.
True.
So next question I've got from Shelby at Centerpoint Energy. This was the question I wanted to ask, which was, you mentioned smart brevity earlier.
Yep.
How do you go about getting your internal stakeholders to adopt smart brevity? But also, maybe just for anyone that doesn't know, maybe explain a little bit about it. I know a lot of us communicators, but some people might not know what it actually is.
Sure. Well, smart brevity is a book that was written by Jim Vandehei, founder of Axios, and I would say like one of the key things that we did was like we adopted it within corporate communications. As we took some training, we brought on the Axios HQ tool, which is quite helpful. They actually have AI within it that will help like kind of put your written content into smart brevity for you. We brought Jim Vandehei as an external speaker, much like Vanessa, to our leadership offsite meeting for the top like 2,000 leaders at Truist, and had him speak, and then followed up that presentation with a microsite with resources around smart brevity. We do actually Elizabeth Morgan on our team has led smart brevity sessions internally, just like training sessions, as well as we have a very much like a sort of extended federated communications group that Demi helps lead, and we've done training sessions with that group as well.
And it's really about like the everything you create and write being clear in its communication and simplified, right? So kind of like trying to answer some of these challenges around like maybe over communication, I guess, or
yeah, it really gets at the heart of like, being verbose. Like we heard in this first session about, like being nice in what you're writing, which is good. But like sometimes it's like people mistake. Sorry, it wasn't nice. What was the word she used? It was, being warmth. So warmth does not mean like writing, 5 paragraphs when like 1 was probably necessary, which is I think a lot of defaults for some people. So it really helps us sort of like reduce the noise and get to the point of what's going on.
Yeah, and it's funny because we as communicators sometimes when you love the written word, sometimes it's quite easy to get lost in that story.
Right, way too much. Yeah.
One final question. So we saw some great examples of the content that you had, whether it's to do with baseball, that champion mindset, or whether it's to do with Buc-ee's. How do you encourage your employees to take time to read these stories out of their busy work days?
I think like great stories make a difference, and I was going to say like, Truist, if you're any baseball fans out there, Yeah, a few. Maybe you saw Aaron Judge hit the foul pole with a 3-run bomb last night, which was pretty awesome. But Truist is the title sponsor of the Braves, and we hosted the All-Star game this year. And so we got together, and it was kind of interesting, the lack of actual interest internally at our hosting the All-Star game. There was a bunch of reasons why people are like, oh, we don't really need to write about it because we can't get tickets or this or that. So we brought the team together, partnered with marketing, and like really just kind of brainstormed ideas of what different angles could we take. And one of the stories that was shown up there was that we learned that Evan Gore is a teammate at Truist, and he's not some like executive or C-suite member. He is someone who works at a bank, in North Carolina. His son, Mackenzie Gore, maybe you've heard of him. He was an all-star, left-handed powerhouse pitcher, 6'7", out of the Washington Nationals. And so I answered that question in that, great stories, people seem to find the ones that really interest them. If you can find things, it was very cool to have a MLB all-star, like a relationship, a direct relationship to someone within the bank. And people were really excited about that. And it's just an example of like when you tell great stories, people lean in and pay attention.
I have to say, when we do a weekly, or Demi does it, a weekly roundup of our stories in newsletter form, and that gets exponentially more views because it's right in their inbox. If they didn't see it on the front page when they logged in that day, because it is our default browser site is the source, is our intranet, they're going to get it on Fridays. And so it's a great re-engagement opportunity.
And what I think you've done so well is, despite all the topics, the fun topics that we've discussed, whether it's baseball or Bucky's, you've been able to really translate that into the action and bringing it back to like how does that manifest in the workday. So great job on putting that communication information into action. Everyone, please give a round of applause for the Truist
Thank you.
Thanks.
It is now time for lunch, but before you go, we do have our final second social winner, which is Karina from McDonald's, who gave a great insight from Vanessa, talking about how you can use AI to coach you for communication. So Vanessa, go to registration and we'll sort out getting your digital notepad to you. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you after lunch. There's lots of activation happening out there, so head to the Solution Studio, see it in action, see you in a bit. Good job. Well done.
No time for politicking, ain't no